You are listening to Crime, Coffee, and Crafts, a podcast featuring two crafty besties who love true crime and a good cup of joe. Good morning.
Good morning. Woo.
For those who are only listening, Kristen's little tabletop, I call it a tabletop because I would make it a table.
Yes, but it's eventually going to go on my wall.
It's so
behind
cool.
me. So for now, I have to hold it.
She just has to hold it and show it
the
off.
whole show. No.
That would be exhausting because it's wood.
It's very heavy. It's resin and wood. Bill, I know you're listening. My friend Bill Davis made this. He goes by William Davis on social media or Harlequin Forest Works. He makes amazing things out of wood.
Heck yeah.
So he made me that sign.
We have to look at Kristen's shirt if you're not watching. Sorry about it. It says, I want to believe, and there's a UFO.
Yes.
It's really cool.
Bill likes UFOs, so this is a good one to plug him in.
This one's episode. For you, Bill. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep. It's good to have good friends. Hence why we're here.
Exactly. Sorry. I'm not really sorry, though. All right. How's it going?
Sorry. It's going.
How's the weather down there?
Raining. It's gross.
Yeah.
I know your weather stinks, too.
Dude, this week we had, just in the last couple of days, our power went out, but it was only our house. And so I was like, something's fishy here. Because I kept like refreshing the page because, you know, you can report it from your phone.
Right.
I'm refreshing. One house affected. I'm like, what the fuck? They send somebody out. A bushing had blown off of the transformer that comes into our house.
Oh. Wow.
So we have a whole new transformer.
That's nice.
So cool. So anyway, that was fun.
I'm just glad they came out and got it.
I'm glad they fixed it before yesterday when it was raining like literal cats and dogs out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yay
we didn't lose power yesterday.
I know. It's good.
Shocker.
Shock and awe.
That's
what we're about.
That's what we're about. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, pretty much. So yeah. All right. Anything else? I think no.
It's been a
week.
It's been a week.
It's been a week. We're getting through it.
Yeah.
All right. You ready for some coffee?
Yes.
For some coffee talk?
Some coffee. Let's drink to that.
Today's coffee. Sorry. Kristen had coffee in her mouth when I said that. Oops.
I'm glad it didn't come out my nose.
Yeah. It's from Bones Coffee, which, as everybody who listens knows, we freaking love them.
Yeah.
This is the Mint Invaders from Chocolate Space.
Oh, nice.
And
perfect.
Exactly. It's like we were together, but we're actually not. It's very weird.
It's very weird. We've always been in sync like that, though.
I also can't think of a better flavor combination than mint and chocolate.
That and peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah, but I can't have that, so.
I know you can't.
But I agree.
But yeah.
I would have agreed before.
So Trader Joe's makes peppermint patties they're brand new. We tried them yesterday or 2 days ago.
Mm.
So They are non-dairy. I believe they're non-everything. They have honey, mint, and dark chocolate.
Yeah, I actually have there's a different brand, not Trader Joe's brand, but I have some of those.
Yeah, it was good.
They also make just honey.
Oh.
Honey with chocolate.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Well, I liked the mint in there. It was a good flavor combo.
Tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Trader Joe's should sponsor us. Just saying.
Yes. I think we should have lots of good sponsors out there that would want to work with us.
That would be incredible. Any art stores, please feel free to reach out. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I have 2 crafts today because I couldn't pick just one.
It's hard sometimes.
I brought some yarn up, and this is going to be a whole new world. If you are not watching, you're missing
a whole new world.
This is the Rustic Yarns.
I like it.
It's what did I use? I don't even know what I used. That's the funny thing. I think I used Corriedale wool. And then I put the color blips in there with one of my bats, which
nice.
If you don't understand, it's okay. You're not a yarn freak like me. I understand.
Yarn is Heidi life.
Yes. And then my other one, working on a hat, of course, because that's what I do.
Yes.
With this really cool yarn that I got in Branson, Missouri. It's like really bright.
I love it. It's really pretty.
And I'm knitting.
Oh.
I'm practicing more and more.
Nice.
So that's going well. I need to look up the name of that place. Dang it. I think it's 938 yarns or 983 yarns in Branson, Missouri. I could be totally wrong on that.
But we will get that information to you, folks.
We'll figure it out. I'll post a picture of that yarn, hat, whatever, and I'll tag them.
There you go.
On the Instagram.
On the Insta.
So, are you ready?
I am.
For this? I just had to look up and make sure I hit record.
Yes, we are recording. We are recording currently.
That would be bad. So I'm covering some disappearances in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Trigger warnings are kidnapping, absolutely heinous murders, and some of the details of those murders. This was a rough one.
Yeah.
I think they're all rough.
Yeah, I mean, when there's such trauma and tragedy as murder and homicide, it's always sad.
Okay. So we're going to go back a little ways to July 5th, 2017, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. When the unthinkable begins happening. 19-year-old Jimmy Patrick lived in Newtown Township with his grandparents who were raising him because his mom suffers from schizophrenia and wasn't capable of caring for him.
He was unfit.
So his grandparents raised him since the day he was born. He was a hard worker. He had lots of friends. His future was looking really bright. He had just gotten into university that he really wanted to go to. I didn't put that information in here apparently, but yeah.
Happens.
So Jimmy had told his grandparents that he was going out to meet some friends at Chick-fil-A and that he wouldn't be out too late. And Jimmy would always come into his grandparents' room to let them know he was home. But
so he was pretty good at communicating with them.
Yeah, he was a good kid.
Yeah.
But that night he never came in to wake them. I can't even imagine that feeling of panic. The next morning, his grandparents realized he still wasn't home. They tried texting him, but he never texted back, which was unusual for him.
Sorry, excuse me.
Bless you.
It's going to happen again. I apologize, people.
It's okay. That was a really cute sneeze.
It's been my affliction my whole life.
Cute sneezes?
Yeah. Everybody's like, what the hell was that?
It's better than...
Squish a mouse?
That's hysterical.
I've heard that most of my life. It's really funny to be in a room full of cops and sneeze like that. Sarcasm, by the way, guys. As if I didn't get made fun of enough. Just add that sneeze to it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay.
Sorry.
Now it's okay. So Jimmy would always text back within about 15 minutes. So his grandparents started calling all of his friends to see if he was with them, and none of his friends had heard from him. And to make matters worse, none of them knew anything about them going to Chick-fil-A, like he had said.
Oh.
So this means that Jimmy hadn't been honest with his grandparents about where he was even going.
So he started a pattern of...
So who the fuck knows where he's at?
Yeah.
Right?
You always tell at least one person where you're going.
Like, always tell the truth to one person at least. So the police got involved, obviously. And oddly enough, they pinged the last known location for Jimmy's cell phone. Like, they were on it straight away.
Right.
It was last used about 50 miles away from his home, but that's far.
Yeah.
But the police weren't really doing much yet. And now bear in mind, this is literally the first day. So, and
right. I'm sure they did their preliminary investigation.
This whole story takes place in about 2 days.
Okay.
So it's going to sound like it's stretched out. It's not. So
it's just minutes.
It's
and
quick,
hours.
Very quick. It's really quick. So Jimmy's parents, thankfully, I mean, they hired a private investigator like quick to get things moving. And the PI talked to all of Jimmy's friends a little more in depth. And then he made contact with the detectives. And during that, they found out that another 19-year-old named Dean Finocchiaro was missing in a nearby township. And it's only 2 days later at this point. So this is a super short period of time to have 2 missing people.
Right.
So now we're on July 7th. Dean was pretty well known to the police in Middletown Township. This is the second kid that's missing. He was a regular joyrider, and like they all knew his name
because he would get in trouble. That's what people don't understand. Like when you're on our radar for a reason, because you keep making choices that get you into trouble constantly. Like almost every other day you're in trouble, and you're like, why are you always messing with? Well,
but also
gotta make choices that are better.
But also they didn't believe anything was wrong because he
was a troublemaker.
Well, it's a bit of a troublemaker.
So although he said,
But when Officer Megan Freer got to Dean's house, not only were his parents there to give a report, but all of Dean's friends were there. Nobody knew where he was. Yeah. So this kind of kicked Officer Freer's opinion into high gear because she knew him, yes, but this was off for sure. So she took a pretty in-depth report. She spent several hours there. And she found out that it looked like Dean was really turning his life around. He had a new job and he was actually like really serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, Dean was already missing for over 24 hours and his cell phone was turned off.
Oh.
So, and the last time his dad saw him, Dean told his dad he was going out and that he would be back in about 15 minutes.
Ooh, that's quick.
Mm-hmm. So his dad asked him who he was going to be with, to which he replied, just a kid from the neighborhood.
Mm.
So after an hour, his dad's spidey senses kicked in and he started texting him. He never replied and he never came home.
Dang.
That's so scary. So his dad did what I would do, called all the hospitals, all the police departments, whoever he could, to see if they had his kid.
Right.
Not calling was also not normal for Dean. It didn't matter what it was. Dean would call and tell his parents. Him and his dad especially had a really like open line of communication.
Mm-hmm.
So Dean's parents contacted all of his friends that they could think of, but nobody had heard from him. They looked at his friends list on the Facebook to be sure they had contacted everyone. And they found one person on his friends list that they had no fucking clue who he was.
Oh.
And it was the only person that wouldn't respond to them. Right. And that person's name is Cosmo Dinardo.
Okay.
So Dean's friends said Cosmo and Dean knew each other from riding ATVs.
So people had seen this person?
Yeah, all the kids knew who he was.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. They also said Cosmo wasn't right in the head. Cosmo lived in a neighboring township called Bensalem. Officer Freer contacted the Bensalem Police Department and got his address, date of birth, and the registration info of his truck.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dinardo family is a prominent family in the area, and they own some big local businesses.
Okay. So they were wealthy, well-to-do.
Mm-hmm. Pretty well known in their area. And so they searched the family name. Officer Freer found 2 different properties that they owned. So they had their main house, and then they had this 90-acre farm in Solebury Township. And now that she had that little bit of info, she went ahead and looked into Dean's phone records. And she found out that it was last used in Solebury Township. So gotcha. What do we all know? There's no fucking such thing as a coincidence.
No, that's
sorry,
right.
Not sorry. So Officer Freer contacted Officer Forrester in Solebury Township to let him know what was happening. And they agreed to meet up, and both of them would go search the Dinardo farm in Solebury. Mm-hmm. They searched the property and nothing really seemed out of the ordinary, but it was the middle of the night and super eerie feeling. And I don't know about you, but like rural areas in the middle of the night are pretty damn creepy. Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there wasn't much to see, and it's super dark.
Right. You don't have street lamps or building lights or.
Yeah. And this isn't a functioning farm. This is just a piece of property that this family owns. Nobody has lived there for who knows how long.
Yeah. So it was just.
It's pretty dilapidated. Yeah. It's just sitting there. So both of the officers left. But about 15 minutes later, Officer Forrester just had a bad feeling in his gut.
Yeah.
And so he decided to go back.
By himself?
Yeah. Don't worry. Nothing happens to the officer.
Oh.
But okay. Yes, he did call. He called Officer Freer and let her know he was going back.
Okay.
So he searched in the one building that they really hadn't searched. There was this shed. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, he just had a feeling about it. So something about that shed had made him nervous.
Did he get back up?
Nope. So he literally
ballsy man.
I know, right? Well, and stupid. Come on, man. There are rules for a reason.
Yeah.
But nothing
you have an open
to him.
door, you get a second officer.
Yeah. So he barely cracked the door open and saw a car inside. And the hairs on the back of his neck stood up immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in mind, this property is not in use very often, if at all.
Right.
In fact, it was obvious nobody had been to the house in a long time. It was falling apart. But this car was kept very well. It was clean. There were no spider webs on it. And there were spider webs all over this building.
Right.
But the
no
car
dust, no spider webs.
Yep.
Clearly a used vehicle that was kept clean.
So he obviously knew that it hadn't been there long. And so he decided to run the plates. And as Officer Forrester looked around outside the shed, he could see fresh car tracks leading up to the shed through tall grass. So it's obvious.
Yeah.
They had just barely missed whoever brought the car there. So Officer Forrester called dispatch with the plate info. And the car belonged to a young man named, I just manned again. A young man named Thomas Mayo.
And that's a new name.
Yes, this is a new name. As soon as dispatch said the name over the radio, another officer came on and asked if they said Thomas Mayo, and then went on to say that Thomas Mayo's mom had come into their precinct earlier that day to report him missing. This makes 3 young men missing in a very, very short amount of time and in a small area. So this is all in the same county, but different townships.
Right. But whoever it was escalated quick. Like,
yeah. And 2 of them are now linked to the same person.
Right.
Cosmo Dinardo. And the officers still can't find Cosmo. So at this point, they're kind of wondering, like, is he also a missing person?
Right, because you don't know if...
They don't know.
Yeah.
Or is he a suspect? But at this point, they're really thinking, like, he's just a missing person.
Was he the same age-ish?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah.
So Officer Freer went to Cosmo's residence and spoke to his mom. All she said was that Cosmo wasn't home.
Oh.
Yeah.
So was she hiding something?
That is what I wonder.
Because if your child's missing, you'd give all the info.
Hell yeah, you would. So after all of this, Officer Freer kept digging and found out that not only was Thomas Mayo missing, but Thomas's best friend was also missing. Mark Sturgis and Thomas had been friends for several years. Like best. Like they're like you and me.
Right.
Friends. They were together all the fucking time.
Sun up, sundown.
See, they even
sometimes in between.
They even worked together.
Yeah. Hey, sounds familiar.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. But now they had both vanished. Mark's family wasn't too concerned initially because he was known to let his phone battery die for days at a time.
Oh, he wasn't very good at keeping it up. He
didn't care. Yeah, he just didn't care. So that would leave everybody unable to get a hold of him. And the last his mom had heard from him, he texted her that he was at work and that he loved her. She called him and he didn't answer. But she wasn't really worried until later that Saturday when Mark and his best friend Thomas didn't show up to work. So that's really fucking weird.
Right.
And alarm bells are now going off in her head. To make matters even worse, the police found out Thomas was diabetic and needed his insulin.
Oh,
He carried a diabetic kit with him everywhere. And upon further inspection of his car that was found in the shed,
the kit was in there.
Officers found his diabetic kit. And at this point, all of the police are working together from all of the townships.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm. So Dean's mom called Officer Freer and said she had more info relating to Dean's appearance. At the exact time Dean was leaving the neighborhood, a silver pickup truck was on a neighbor's camera leaving the neighborhood. Thank goodness for those freaking people who got those security cameras back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was only like a few years ago, but like,
right.
Still, like, I feel like that's such a new thing.
Yeah.
I still don't have.
I can't have them because you have to have a solid Wi-Fi connection.
Right.
And out here, we just,
Yeah. Well, out here, I don't really need them. People don't come on our property.
I mean, you'd have to
for a
really
reason.
Want to get into my house if you want. Like, that gate is confusing. We made it so that you have to really know the gate to be able to open it.
Yeah. Yeah. Our property has like a reputation.
Yeah, yours does.
Not from me, from my father-in-law.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law.
Yes.
Which cracks me up. So okay, there we are. That was me rewinding and fast forwarding. Okay.
I like it. I like it.
So they looked into this truck that was on camera, and it belonged to none other than Cosmo Dinardo. What a fucking coincidence. Oh my God. So this cracked the case wide open.
Sure.
They now know for sure that Dean was picked up by Cosmo. Hold, please. Okay. And to clear my throat for real.
Let me clear my throat.
Sorry. Okay. Learning what the police had uncovered, Cosmo and his family set up a meeting with the law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "Hey, Kappa, we want to talk to you." So
about time.
Yeah. Cosmo admitted he picked up Dean, but said they got into an argument and that he kicked Dean out of his truck, dropping him off on the side of the road.
I call bullshit.
Same, dude. Same.
Bullshart.
So he said he went fishing for the rest of the day at a local park until almost 9 p.m. But what detectives realized during this interview was that Cosmo was trying to distance himself from the last known areas and from the missing young men.
Mm-hmm.
So
your alibi's not so tight there, buddy.
Yeah, we'll see about that. During this time, some media outlets were saying that police were also searching for Cosmo as a missing person, which is kind of, funny.
Yeah.
Knowing what we know now.
Mm-hmm.
But a local journalist knew otherwise. The police were actually building Cosmo up as a person of interest. So Cosmo wasn't legally allowed to own firearms due to his mental illness.
Oh, okay.
The local police in Bensalem knew him very well. They had had several encounters with him. Just months before these young men went missing, Cosmo Dinardo was charged with firearm possession. He should have been in jail for this, but he was let off easy and the charges were dropped. He was also becoming...
money talks.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, his family had money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know about that all too well. Neighbor. Yeesh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeesh.
Mm-hmm.
He was becoming more and more aggressive with his own family members. And he was a very angry person and known for making threats against people.
Hot-tempered.
He sounds like a fucking peach. I don't know what everybody's so mad about.
He just sounds like a lovely, misunderstood boy.
Yeah. Boys will be boys.
Oh, I hate that saying. Oh.
No, they will not. They will be who you raise them to be.
Who you raise them to be.
Good grief. So a young reporter named Colt Shaw, what a fucking name, Colt Shaw, who was actually around the same age as these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like in their kind of age group-ish.
Young adult.
Yeah.
Call him a young adult.
And Colt happened to be from the same county. So he had an easy in with their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so Colt started contacting Cosmo's friends. And they told him some chilling details. They said Cosmo was strange growing up and that none of them were particularly comfortable around him. He was always trying to fight people. He would harass girls online, asking them to have sex with him. And then he would just like show up randomly.
So he had no idea of how to behave as a human.
That, and he did that stuff on purpose to intimidate people.
Yeah.
That's fucking
creepy.
So one of his friends had a group chat on Snapchat, I guess, with all of these guys. And they, I guess, had their settings to save everything.
Oh.
Which is really funny. Including Cosmo. Thankfully, they had saved all of these conversations, and Cosmo was deflecting anything that would lead to him in these chats. Like his friends would ask if he was worried about his missing buddy, and he would turn it around saying his buddy was just in hiding because of prior legal issues. Bullshit.
That's, yeah. It's a line of bull.
They also sent over a picture of Cosmo holding a revolver with a laser light on it. Yikes. Wild-eyed and crazed looking, pointing the gun at the camera. And I saw this picture and it fucking gave me chills, dude.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Colt Shaw couldn't believe what he was seeing, though. None of this info was in the news.
Right.
So it was around this time the police started looking into their automatic license plate readers in Sulbury. Hell yeah.
Nice.
And I guess around that time, it was kind of newer technology for them. They hit the jackpot, so to speak. Cosmo's truck was found in a parking lot within a mile of his family's farm. At a time when he said he was fishing.
Right.
They also found out that Cosmo had been trying to sell a car similar to Thomas Mayo's. And with the information they had linking two of the missing men to Cosmo's family farm and this new evidence, police had enough evidence to obtain a proper search warrant for the farm. So this meant they had 90 acres of a fucking farm to search.
I can't imagine that.
But when you're searching for missing kids, everybody comes on. They've got helicopters. They've got all the equipment. So as investigators are searching the Dinardo farm, they inspected a barn. And inside this barn, they found loads, and I mean like a shit ton of blood evidence. Spatter and pooling. And not just like blood, but like bits.
Right.
Blech.
Tissue.
Yeah. We'll find out more about that in a little bit. Just left there, not cleaned up at all.
Well, because he just figured that nobody'd be up there, probably.
Yeah. There's something wrong with him. Hopefully he's getting the help he actually needs.
And not out in the world.
Yeah. So searchers also found a phone near a field or in a field somewhere out there. And they called 911 so that they could have the 911 operator identify who the owner was of the phone.
Okay.
And unfortunately, Dean's father got a notification on his phone that his son's phone had called 911.
Oh.
And so he got his hopes up.
Yeah.
And then he contacted the detectives and they told him that it was just them and that they had found Dean's phone.
Sucks.
That's so heartbreaking to me.
Yeah, because it probably gave them hope, and then the hope was dashed again.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that just wave of emotion, just traumatic.
It's just heartbreaking. While all of this is going on, Cosmo was being held on the previous firearms charge that had been dropped.
Oh.
They rearrested him, which kudos to the police for that.
Found a loophole to hold him while the investigation was going on, so he can't run or do anything else.
Unfortunately, though, his bail was set to $1 million, and
the parents paid it.
Well, they only have to pay 10% to get him out, which is so stupid. So of course they paid it. So
that's still a lot of money. 100 grand.
Yeah, I mean, still. It's ridiculous. So the search really needed to come up with something. And on the third day of the search, investigators saw a pile of rocks and what looked to have been previously dug up and then filled back in. So they began digging and eventually started smelling gasoline at about the 6-foot mark.
Oh.
And at that point, they knew that it was going to be something really bad. But we're going to hold right there, because at this point, Cosmo Dinardo was now being arrested for stealing Thomas Mayo's car. So they found something else that they knew he had done so that they could lock him back up.
Gotcha.
And his bail was now set at $5 million. So they literally did anything to get this fucker locked up.
Yeah.
And not able to pay his bail, because sorry, but like,
that's another $500,000.
Yeah. Well, and I don't even think I don't know. I wouldn't pay that for my kid.
I don't know. Let him sit in there. Let him sit in there.
I wouldn't bail my kid out to begin with. I don't have a kid, but like, if they did something heinous like this, they need to sit in there.
Yeah, they need to think about what they did.
Oh yeah, they do. So investigators continued digging and started finding more evidence. So they found a hog roaster. Ooh. I only know what that is because I have one here. That's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
Very big thing. Yeah. Inside the hog roaster, there was a boot and a pack of cigarettes.
Was this The Walking Dead at this?
Basically,
Terminus come to life.
They continued digging around the hog roaster, and they actually ended up finding the corner of a blue tarp that was under the hog roaster. So
why would you have a tarp under it?
We're gonna get to it right now.
Oh, my brain is spinning. Sorry.
So they had to bring in the heavy equipment, though, to pull out the hog roaster.
Right.
So they got that out, and they were able to locate 3 bodies under that blue tarp. Confirmed to be Dean, Thomas, and Mark.
All right.
So the first kid, Jimmy Patrick, was still unaccounted for.
Right.
And his grandparents really were holding on to hope at this point, because his phone there was some kind of glitch in the phone systems, and it was showing the wrong towers for where his phone was last used.
Mm-hmm.
And it had supposedly last been used pretty far away from this area. So the officers, though, were not really that optimistic. And Cosmo,
not with the bodies found.
Sure. Cosmo wasn't saying a damn thing yet. So once Cosmo heard of the evidence found on his family's farm, Cosmo and his attorney contacted police and said Cosmo would tell them everything if they took the death penalty off the table. To which they agreed.
Yeah.
So Cosmo stated that he was dealing weed as a middleman and that Jimmy was purchasing a large quantity of weed through him. And I think this part is bullshit, but whatever. He said it was supposed to be $8,000, but that Jimmy only handed him $800. And I am fucking sorry, but like $8,000 in weed, that's a lot of fucking weed.
That's a lot of marijuana.
That's like a shit ton of weed.
That's a ridiculous amount and not necessary. So $800.
$800
sounds more
reasonable,
but that's still a lot.
That's gonna get you.
Nobody's buying $8,000 worth of weed for personal use.
Unless like a bunch. I could see it like if he was buying for him and his friends, the $800,
right? Not 8,000.
That'll get you a couple ounces, but like $8,000.
Dang,
that's a lot.
Just imagine the pile.
So I honestly think that this is all just bullshit, though.
Yeah.
So Cosmo tells Jimmy that it's not going to work, that he can sell Jimmy a gun.
How do you go from
exactly
buying and selling weed to a gun?
Yeah, and then hands him a shotgun to look at. And Jimmy, being a good gun handler, turns away to shoot the gun to test it out. And right as he did that, Cosmo shot him in the back of the fucking head.
Damn.
Killed him.
Wow.
Right then. So then he proceeded to go get the backhoe, digs a hole, and buries Jimmy's body right then. Like, what a fucking horrible, horrible human being. So 2 days after this, Cosmo brings his cousin Sean Kratz to the farm, where they come up with a plan to rob Dean. And they pick Dean up under the pretense that they're selling him a quarter pound of weed. And this is why I say that previous story is total bullshit. I think that he was just going to take his fucking money.
Right.
He was just there to rob him. So they drive him to the farm. And why are you going to drive him all the way to the farm? Just meet in the fucking parking lot and make the deal there. Like, you don't need all of you to go to the farm. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, go to the corner store.
And why don't trust people? Exactly. Go to the corner store. God, do it like normal people. Sorry.
Be a lot cooler if you did.
Oh. Yep. I totally would have fallen for that guy. All right.
All right.
Oh yeah. So they drive him to the farm and end up in the barn. Remember that barn?
Yeah.
They're all standing around talking in the barn. Cosmo says he turned around and heard a bunch of shots go off.
No, did you?
Yeah. So Cosmo leaves his cousin Sean at the farm with Dean's body.
Because they already killed him?
That's what he said happened. He doesn't know what happened. He just knows he heard a bunch of shots go off and he left. So he then goes to meet up with Thomas and Mark to sell them some weed. Like, dude, no, you're going to rob these kids.
Is this?
Your plan is to kill these kids and get their money.
Jeez Louise.
So he brings them back to the farm and proceeds to shoot both men. I will say both children.
Yeah, because
I'm still calling them children, even though they're technically not really.
Yeah, but
they're not. Their
brains aren't fully developed yet.
No.
They're children.
But he ran out of bullets. And Thomas wasn't dead yet. This is like the TW, y'all. Trigger warning.
Yeah.
Thomas wasn't dead yet, but he was paralyzed and screaming bloody murder. And so Thomas had no clue what the fuck just happened. I can't even imagine. Cosmo got the backhoe and ran him over.
Oh.
Like, what a horrible human being.
Yeah.
And you can actually listen to Cosmo Dinardo telling his version of events. And these recordings are absolutely horrifying, by the way, because he sounded very excited to be telling what
the
happened.
Story.
It was
like
really
he
crazy.
was getting off on the violence.
Not
again.
just that, he was like bragging about it.
Right. He was.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
And just when you really fucking hate the guy, I think the reality of his situation kicked in and he starts bawling his eyes out.
Well, he is mentally ill.
That's like the wild thing, sobbing and saying he doesn't know why he did this shit. But like, bro,
he was already feeling remorse, or was he pretending to be remorseful?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, can you cry on demand like that? Because I can't.
I mean, if you're an actor, if you've
been
pretending to be somebody you're not.
Yeah. So he recomposed himself and then excitedly told the police where Jimmy was buried. So yeah, maybe he was
a
acting.
Sociopath.
And Jimmy's body was about 3/4 of a mile away from the other burial site, just a little bit farther back. But this case isn't quite over yet. The police still need to pick up Cosmo's cousin, Sean. Thankfully, that wasn't too difficult, though. And Sean is pretty forthcoming. Initially, he doesn't admit to himself doing any of the shooting. He said that he stayed in the truck the whole time Cosmo and Dean were in the barn. And he tells police where the gun is and says his cousin is crazy. But about 9 months after this, Sean finally comes clean. He said that Cosmo had wanted him to rob and shoot Dean, but Sean didn't follow the plan. And that pissed Cosmo off. Cosmo threatened Sean and Sean's family. And Sean said he was scared of Cosmo, which is why he did eventually follow through with shooting Dean in the barn. So
okay, so he
did shoot him,
but was threatened to do it. So it's still Cosmo's doing.
Cosmo's a scary person, and I would have fucking been scared of him too. So on July 14th, 2017, Cosmo Dinardo was charged with 14 different charges, including 4 counts of criminal homicide, conspiracy to commit criminal homicide, and abuse of a corpse. The same day, Sean Michael Kratz was also charged with 3 counts of criminal homicide, conspiracy to commit criminal homicide, abuse of a corpse, and 2 other charges. I don't know what they are.
What was the abuse of the corpse part?
I think the burying of them, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe there's more details that we don't know about also.
Right, like maybe they cooked them on the...
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think they cooked them.
Pig roaster?
Because they could still tell who they were.
Oh, okay.
When they dug them up.
They weren't charred bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
They hadn't been eaten on.
Yeah. So Kratz had a criminal history of burglary, conspiracy, criminal trespassing, theft, receiving stolen property, and criminal mischief. And this whole thing that we just talked about, including them being charged and everything, and the search of the property, happened within 9 days.
Dang.
All of those boys went missing in 2 days.
Right.
So, like, holy shit. That's some fucking police work right there, y'all.
Yeah, they were on it.
Hell yeah, they were.
Good for them.
So, on May 16th, 2018, Cosmo Dinardo pled guilty to 4 counts of murder and was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. And later that day, Sean Kratz was offered a plea deal of 118 years with the possibility of parole after serving 59 years.
Dang.
But he turned down the offer.
Oh.
Which was stupid.
Yeah.
Because Sean's trial was scheduled for 2019. And on November 15th, 2019, Kratz was convicted of 1st and 2nd degree murder in the death of Don Finicaro and voluntary manslaughter in the deaths of Thomas Mayo and Mark Sturgis, and was later sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Should have taken the deal, dude. but also like,
I mean, it was 118 years.
But I mean, he could have gotten paroled after 59.
Yeah.
He could still have seen the light of day.
Yeah, it's true.
But
those boys messed up.
So rest in peace, Jimmy, Mark, Tommy, and Dean. They were gone way too soon.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I'm gonna link the obituaries of all 4 of them in the description area of wherever you listen to your podcasts. Hopefully those links work, and I'll try to link them.
I need to be better at linking them when I do
on the website.
Yeah. Well, like when I post on the Instagram stories, you always have a link, and I always forget to put a link in.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
I'm trying, guys. I'm really working through my
learning
technology inabilities.
Okay. So before I'm done though, my sources. The Wikipedia, of course. Discovery Plus has a really, really good show special on this case.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called. It's like the Lost Boys of Bucks County, I think it's called.
Okay.
And then some like random news articles.
Right.
But I highly recommend reading their obituaries though. Just so you can kind of get a better sense of who they are. Because they were very loved by many, many, many people.
Probably why their case got solved so quickly, because they had such strong support.
People were like fighting to get them seen, you know?
Yeah. That's what everybody needs. Everybody needs strong support system. And I'm heartbroken when the support that is there for others is not what it needs to be.
Right.
So support your people, peeps. Love your people.
Definitely love your people.
Give them hugs. Hugs are important. You
know, like I fight for advocacy for people who are sick a lot. Fight. Be an advocate for people that are missing too.
Yep.
You know, we share a lot of missing people on Instagram and our Twitter.
Hopefully it reaches somebody that can help.
Yeah.
Some way.
Getting the word out, I think, is really helpful. Spreading that information.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Talk to you next time. Ta-ta.
For now.
Thanks for listening to Crime, Coffee, and Crafts. If you love our podcast, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. This helps us more than you know. If you really love us and want to support us, go to our website at www.crimecoffeeandcrafts.com. From there, you can join our Patreon, shop our merch, and find us on social media.